Coming up on Locked On NBA Daily. The play-in race is heating up. Devin Booker's back, but can Steph Curry return in time to save the Warriors' playoff hopes? Meanwhile, in the East, teams with high expectations are competing for sixth place, but is the real threat in the play-in tournament looming lower in the standings? Locked On NBA Daily starts now.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. However you're tuning in on YouTube or on your podcast app, thanks for making us your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. I'm Wes Goldberg, and today we're talking about the middle of both conferences where teams are fighting to escape the play-in tournament. We're also going to look ahead to an exciting Knicks Thunder matchup later tonight, and we're doing it with the help of Locked On's local experts. I have two of the best with me, as always. From the Locked On Nuggets podcast, he's a senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt?
Did you let platypi glow under UV light?
Really?
Okay, and not only that, but scientists don't know why. Like, the literal thing is like, yeah, we don't really know why. This just happens. You've been studying platypi for 100 years, and you haven't figured out why they glow under UV light.
I think we've learned a lot about Matt's TikTok algorithm this week. Just
Not
mostly.
true. I looked this up independently. Thank you.
It's like, you looked up whether platypi glow under UV light? That's a crazy Google search.
No, I looked up niche animal facts to share on the show, but thanks for ruining the magic, Wes.
From the Locked On Bulls podcast, he's a Bears and Bulls creator for Bleacher Report. It's Haize.
I'm an owner of an almost 200-pound Akita, so I don't worry about other animals. I just sick Loki on him. That's his name is Loki. So there you go.
What a badass dog name. Damn.
200 pounds?
He's 195 pounds, so almost 200 pounds. He's a bear, is what
I think when you're at 195 as a dog, you get to round up. I think that's
why do you own the Guardians from Ghostbusters?
Because literally, so Akitas are my favorite breed of dog. I had an Akita before, but he was a smaller Akita. He was like maybe 130. So I got this one, and from like the time he was like 6 months old, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a big boy, and then he just never stopped growing.
Good God.
Well, let's start with today's show and taking a look at the play-in races in both of these conferences. I want to start in the Western Conference. You look at the standings. The Lakers have a 2-game lead for 6th place, and then in the play-in spots, you have Phoenix, Golden State, the LA Clippers, and then Portland. I want to start with the Suns because they've become #1, one of our favorite teams here on Locked On NBA Daily, but they've also been dealing with some injuries. They've had a little bit of a stumble since the All-Star break here a bit. They could still potentially sneak out of the play-in tournament. I think that's worth mentioning, right? They're 7th in the standings right now, 2 games back of the Lakers. They do have a firm 4-game cushion over the 8th place Warriors, and most importantly, they got Devin Booker back, and they got a win over the Sacramento Kings last night. Here's more from Ben Garcia from Locked On Suns.
When he is not in the lineup, they are not the same offense. Yet, he struggled from shooting from the field today. He only had 5 assists. I didn't think he was bad defensively, but I didn't think he was necessarily awesome. He's coming back from injury in this game. And yet the Suns blow out the Sacramento Kings in the second half. Booker tonight, 6 for 19. Like he was pulling off his best Rey Mysterio with the 6-1-9. 4 for 9 from 3. And I didn't hate some of the shots Booker was getting tonight.
Good win over the Sacramento Kings, who stink and they're actively losing games, yada, yada, yada. But important fact here, they get Devin Booker back. He's starting to shake off some of the rust here. When you look at the standings, Matt, Phoenix there at 7th. Like I said before, one of our favorite teams here on the show. They get their star player back. Are they the favorites to come out of the Western Conference play-in mix?
That's tough, man. So I like what Phoenix has done a lot, and I want to appreciate what they've kind of accomplished. The problem is, when we get into these big kind of profile environments, I don't know if this team is necessarily built for that, right? Because this is the one area I'm typically pretty much like talent is a little overrated in the NBA because we see all these combinations of superstars Phoenix last year that are kind of trash cans. But when you get into hyper tense, very close environments, you do need the best players. And that's one of the areas where Phoenix is kind of a little bit down. Now, facing Golden State, maybe, but if you're just hey, the Suns are hosting Golden State in a 7-8 matchup in the play-in tournament, I'm going to be a little nervous for Phoenix, right? Like Steph Curry is the type of player that ruins teams like the Suns' life. That's just like what they do, what he does. So I'm a little bit worried about them coming out of the play-in tournament. I don't really know what to make of their playoff chances in terms of what you really want from the Suns. I think a reasonable expectation is, hey, make life hard on your first round opponent. Just have them leave that series, be like, God, that team was annoying. Like, we could not get rid of them. That's kind of got to be the goal, right? You want to win, but that's got to be the goal, is make sure that team is like, man, Phoenix was tough. And I'm not sure that they're built in such a way to be able to pull that off, but I would really love to see it.
I mean, to get to Wes's basic question is that, yeah, I think they are the favorites to come out the play-in. I'm not saying that I picked them to win the playoff series, but like when you look at the teams in the play-in, Portland is completely fallen off. Like I mean, they'll probably still make the play-in because Memphis is terrible, but they
can't fall off if they were never up, sir.
They were up at one point. The Clippers. You know, the thing I think that helps the Phoenix Suns is that if they're staying the 7th seed, they have 2 games to get 1 win and make it out the play-in. And I do trust them, like, to get 1 win out of 2 games, whether that is the 7-8 matchup with the Golden State Warriors, or if they lose that matchup and have to face off against the winners of the Clippers and Portland Trailblazers. Like, they're such a tough team when everybody's healthy. They're so well balanced and they just fit together. And Devin Booker can go off. He can be the best player in 1 game. I don't know if he can be the best player in a 7-game series against some of the teams in the playoffs, but he can be the best player on any given night. And so because of that, I do think the Suns have to be one of the favorites to make it out the Western Conference play-in.
It's weirdly been a kind of a quiet, really good season for Devin Booker. They're 28-17 with Booker in the lineup this season. They're 6.1 points per 100 possessions better on offense and offensive rating when Devin Booker's on the court. Nearly 8 points overall better. So even defensively, he's helping them on that end. So look, Phoenix, I do think probably the favorites to come out of the play-in mix here. Not only they're going to have home court as the 7th seed too, which obviously matters historically in this play-in mix. Matt, I'm going to go back to you here. If you were going to pick 2 teams to come out of the play-in tournament in the Western Conference, assuming that it's going to be Phoenix, Golden State, Clippers, Portland, the Lakers have a 2-game lead in that 6th spot. If you think that they're going to drop, I guess you can include them in that. But the favorites to come out of the Western Conference play-in mix, if you had to pick 2.
I mean, it's Golden State and Phoenix. It's Golden State and Phoenix, and then everybody else. I mean, the Clippers are interesting. It's just like they're trying to piece this thing together on the fly. Like Darius Garland and Benedict Mathurin haven't unpacked, and they lost Zoo. So now it's like they're piecing together the center position. They're just a really ragtag kind of group trying to pull this together behind Kawhi Leonard being able to make jump shots. And I just don't know if that's going to be enough to get them home. Now it's like, you do ask me, do you want Kawhi Leonard or the Suns in a, win or go home environment? That makes me nervous. And I'm a guy that has questioned Kawhi's Game 7 performances pretty consistently. Go look those up. They're not great. I think I will say right now, Phoenix and Golden State, right? And if the Lakers fall in, it's Lakers and Golden State. I do have a little bit of the best guys do tend to win in these playoff environment, in these play-in environments. Like the best guys win. Although, look, the Warriors got knocked out, I think, by Memphis. Yeah, they got knocked out by Memphis one year. So it's not always just like, oh, you could just, pencil in Steph. I don't know if that's true. If the Lakers miss the playoffs, God, what a story, though. Like imagine they go to 7 and they lose the 7, and then the Clippers. Oh,
and
God.
we get a 7-8 matchup in the play-in tournament between the Lakers and the Warriors, which would be a repeat, I think, of the first year of the play-in tournament. Haize, in the Western Conference, who do you like to come out of the play-in? You already mentioned Phoenix, but who else?
Yeah, I think Phoenix and Golden State. Like, it's boring conversation, but yeah, I agree with Matt there. I wish I disagreed, but Phoenix and Golden State are the 2 I'd pick.
So I'm very down on the idea of peaking at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Like historically, this doesn't actually track. Like you need to play your best basketball in December and January. That's just what history says for if you want to make deep playoff runs. I do think the play-in is different though. I think you can be the right team at the right time. And I know we're going to talk about a great candidate for that in the East, but I just kind of wonder, like, look, if you're Portland, do you really want to be in this thing? Like, do you really want to be in this thing? And so I would really love to see New Orleans make an improbable run and just like sneak in there, make some sort of crazy finish where it's like, oh my God, the Pelicans are going to make the play-in. That would be actually really wild and a lot of fun to see, I think.
And it would be very fun to tune into Locked On Hawks to hear them freak out about their pick in that situation. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think Phoenix beats Golden State in the 7-8 game. And then I think the Clippers beat Portland in the 9-10 game. And then Kawhi Leonard is the best player in a Clippers-Warriors game. And then the Clippers sneak in and make the playoffs. That's where I'm going to go with this one, just to be a little bit different here. We know the top teams in the Western Conference. The winner of the East play-in race, though, that team might be able to push a team in the first round. We're going to take a look at the Eastern Conference play-in race after this. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by TurboTax. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert and get your documents uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar that you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. Welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily. The best way to support the show is to subscribe on YouTube. We air Monday to Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, wherever you get your podcast. Let's go to the Eastern Conference, where the play-in race doubles as the Southeast Division. 7 through 10 in the standings are the Magic, Heat, Hornets, and Hawks. The Sixers are a half game up on the Magic and the Heat for 6th place, so they're still on the bubble and very much a part of the conversation we're going to have here. The Magic do have the tiebreaker over the Heat for the season. That's why they are technically in 7th, and the Heat are in 8th, although the records are similar. But let's start there. That bubble-ish area, Sixers, Magic, Heat. Haize, who do you like to end up at 6? Because I think that's probably the best place to start before we have the rest of the conversation about the rest of the play-in race.
Man, I'd say I want to pick Orlando Magic there. I just don't trust them. I'll say still the 76ers hold on to the 6th seed. I think, if they can stay relatively healthy, they'll hold on to the 6th seed there. I like the Orlando Magic to still finish at 7th. And I do think, unfortunately, Wes, your Miami Heat are probably going to fall down to 9th. I think the Charlotte Hornets are probably going to pass them up.
It is a 2-game difference between Miami and Charlotte with a big meeting on Friday. Matt, who do you like to end up at 6?
Miami. Miami's schedule is really soft. I will trust Eric Spoelstra. The Heat, when they're fully healthy, I actually think that they're really good. Obviously, we got the big coaching advantage here. I look at the schedule. I look at how they've played. I look at their overall performance. The Heat have been the best team. So I think Miami's going to sneak out. Philly, I don't really know what to make of them. It's like, how do you project them? Because it's their one team with Embiid and their one team without him. And you don't know what he's going to play on any given night. And so trying to project like what he's going to be, I think is really, really difficult. But I've got Miami at 46 wins. I've got Philly at 43. I've actually got Charlotte at 45. So I actually have Philly sliding all the way down to the 8th spot.
How much does Paul George's suspension play a factor in those projections, Matt? Because no Paul George and then Embiid dealing with this ribs situation.
That's actually fully healthy is the thing. It's like that assumes full health for everybody, because I tend to bump this up. And if you're asking like, how is that possible with how good Embiid is, Miami's actually missed a lot of guys that are really important, like Norman Powell grades out really well in my system, like Tyler Hero grades out really well in my system. Like they have like the Heat are good. They have not played as well as they should. The Heat should be better than they are.
Yep.
And so I think Miami gets the 6. I think Charlotte gets the 7, and I think Philly gets the 8.
Miami with the best point differential out of the Philly, Orlando, Miami little trio there. And as you mentioned, Charlotte sneaking up on this entire group. They are the feel-good story here. After a bad start to the season, they've surged into the play-in mix. They're now 500 for the season, which is a crazy turnaround. They're playing as well as anybody right now. Here's more on that turnaround from our friend Doug Branson at Locked On Hornets.
This turnaround, just by record, is extraordinary. To think where they were, through the first 25 games or so, and to think of where they are now, and to be able to pull out of that tailspin is a testament to the determination of this group, the togetherness of this group, how much joy they play with, how competitive they've been, on and on and on. All the things that we have talked about nonstop about what's fueling this team.
Haize, what do you like about this Hornets team? I mean, I don't even want to ask if it's real or not. They've been doing it for long enough where they are clearly a good basketball team. I guess the question is, how good can they be?
Man, I think they could be a tough first round exit. I don't know if they can be much more than that. And no knock on them. Like, they're a really tough team. And, you know, Concanipple has been great. LaMelo Ball is maybe, as much as me and Matt have talked about him not playing winning basketball, maybe he's starting to learn a little bit. There's some balance there when they're fully healthy. But I think this year, if they can make it a really tough first round exit, I think that's a great step in the right direction for them.
With the caveat that I'm always worried about these teams that get super hot for an extended period of time, because I just think it's really, like, they started playing well in December, and you're asking them to play at such a higher level than they have ever played at for a sustained 4-month stretch. That's really difficult. Like, that's just a lot to ask for, you know, and we see what happens whenever, like, God forbid, knock on wood, like, LaMelo's ankles just seem to have problems. And whenever he goes out, they fall to pieces. So, like, I'm a little worried about them maintaining, but, like, as far as a ceiling, I'm not going to be surprised if it's like, oh my God, Charlotte, Detroit's going to Game 7. The thing I love most about Charlotte is the way that Charles Lee has coached this team in terms of maximizing what they do. They're like, hey, what if we rebounded absolutely everything? We're hyper efficient at the rim and won the math game. I understand the 3-point stuff can get obnoxious for some people, but when you're not a team that doesn't have the best talent and you are going into these fights outgunned, doing things like, hey, we're going to win from the 3-point line and at the rim, and we're going to make sure you don't get extra possessions, is absolutely huge. They don't have the best defense in the league. They don't have the most talent in the league, but they make the most of what they have. And I love teams like that. So I'm not going to be surprised if Charlotte and Detroit go to a Game 7 first round.
The thing that is really interesting to me about this Hornets team, especially in a potential series against Detroit, is that the Hornets have 4 guys on the court almost at all times who can dribble, pass, and shoot for the most part. And that's a really tough, we talk about the Thunder defense and the model and the fact that they drafted all these guys and whatever. Really, the Thunder model is the fact that they trust all their guys to make a decision with the ball in their hands. And you trust Shea, obviously, the most. He's the superstar. But everybody, they trust Case and Wallace to do stuff. They trust, you know, all these guys to do stuff. Charlotte is doing a little bit of that here. And to your point, Matt, they're also like nailing these margin battles here that are really important. Big question, Haize. What 3 teams do you think make the playoffs of the group that we're talking about, lumping Philadelphia in here just because they only have that half-game lead at 6? Philadelphia, Orlando, Miami, Charlotte, Atlanta. 3 of those teams have to make the playoffs. Which 3 do you like?
Philly, Miami, Orlando.
So you have Charlotte not making it.
See, that's the thing. Like, I want to pick Charlotte over Orlando, but I just think if Orlando gets healthy, that they'll make it above them. But that's what I'll go on wax to say right now, because I'm not going to bet against your Miami Heat. You're my brother. I'm not going to do that to you.
I appreciate that. So it was between Miami and Charlotte, not Orlando and Charlotte. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Matt, where are you at?
Orlando's cheeks. I don't even know why we're talking about them. Like, their coach and their star player are taking jabs at each other in the media. This is one of those years. Like, we know how this goes. They're gonna miss the playoffs. They're gonna fire Mosley. They're gonna bring in another coach, and then the guy that did all of the good work to get them in a good position is gonna get scapegoated while the other guy benefits from what's already been built. And then Mosley's gonna go somewhere else and do really well, just like JB Bickerstaff did. I'm gonna go with Miami, Charlotte, and Atlanta. Jonathan Kuminga leads the Hawks to the playoffs.
I thought we buried Kuminga talk.
And now we have to talk about him again, because that is how the universe has decided. We have to talk about Jonathan Kuminga almost every night. That feels disrespectful to Philly. I know. I really like the Sixers team and think that they're really good. I just I'm not going to be surprised if it's like, yeah, Embiid can't go in the playing game. He re-aggravated whatever, and he's not feeling good. Can't go. And it's like, oh man, after everything, Philly gets knocked out. Wouldn't surprise me. The safe answer though is Philly, Charlotte, Miami. That's the safe answer.
Yeah, the good thing about Philly is even if they drop into the play-in tournament, it's hard to see them falling much lower than the 7-8 bracket part of this. Mm-hmm. So they'd get 2 chances to win one game to get into the playoffs. Where Charlotte right now, if they're at 9 or Atlanta at 10, like, they got to win twice. Atlanta twice on the road based on where they're at right now.
7 seeds have never failed to get into the NBA playoffs in the history in 5 years of the tournament. 10 seeds are 1-4 with Wes's stupid Miami Heat
last year for no reason. We could have lost and perhaps gotten Cooper Flag because we might have been in that Dallas Mavericks lottery slot there. Orlando has and will not give up the tiebreaker over Miami as long as the records are obviously the same, because that's how tiebreakers work. Orlando is 3-0 against Miami this season, so that's an important thing here and a distinction, Matt. To your point, if whoever gets 7 gets that home court there, that's a pretty big advantage that you're talking about there. Up next, we're going to take a look at the schedule tonight, including the first matchup of the season between two teams that many picked to make the NBA Finals. Stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. I pulled up the Game Time app. I picked an upcoming NBA game, and I had tickets locked in within minutes. I love seeing the all-in price up front, so I have no surprise fees when I checked out, and I was able to see the view from my seat before I bought, making my decision easy, and I did it with confidence. The zone deals really stood out. I chose the section Game Time picks the seats, and I saved money. They also have great last-minute options, too, with NBA tickets showing up at solid prices right until tip-off. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Thanks for making Locked On NBA Daily your first listen every day. The Locked On Podcast Network has a show for every team. Check out Locked On Suns, Locked On Hornets, Locked On Heat, Locked On Sixers, Locked On all these teams that are involved in this play-in mix for more on those teams. Let's look ahead to tonight's slate of games. Two really exciting ones, guys. Let's start with Thunder at Knicks. Knicks 4-point underdogs at Madison Square Garden. First meeting between these two teams for what a lot of people's this was a lot of people's preseason pick for the NBA Finals. Both teams, by the way, playing on a back-to-back, although SGA did not play on Tuesday night, so he'll be a little bit more fresh for the Thunder. But Haize, what are you watching for in this one?
This is good basketball. I mean, I don't have, like, when you look at the Knicks and the Thunder, like, I don't trust the Knicks. I think I've been clear on that when we've talked about this team. I don't trust the Knicks at all to do anything sensible, and I think they're going to be an early exit again in the playoffs. So I'm looking for the Knicks to not look good, and the OKC Thunder probably will. Even is Shea playing in this game tonight or no?
Yes.
He is. Oh yeah, they're going to kill the Knicks. They're going to kill them.
What? Why are you making me defend the Knicks? I don't like this, man. Like,
you don't have to do it. We can actually be on the same side every once in a while, man.
Yeah, but you're just like, they're going to be another first round exit again. They made the conference finals the last 2 years.
I said early exit. I didn't necessarily say first round. I said early exit.
How is the conference finals an early exit?
Well, I'm saying this season they'll be an early exit.
All right, you said it again. All right.
Yeah.
I actually really want to see this. So New York is 6-2 versus playoff teams in the Western Conference. And over the last couple of seasons, they've matched up really well with some of the best teams in the West. For all of their faults, I actually really like this matchup for them. Now, OKC may kill them because OKC's better in every facet. Like, they're an amazing team. However, if you ask me, like, what do you need to beat OKC? Number one, you got to have offensive rebounding. You got to create extra possessions and absolutely just, you have to smash them on the interior. You got to be able to smash the glass and be able to get offensive rebounds and really be physical with them. Mitchell Robinson, Karl-Anthony Towns, that's a great ability. You have to have great spot-up shooters because they're going to give you threes, but they try and target who they're going to give them to. So Landry Shamet is going to have another obnoxious night. That guy drives me nuts because I'm like, how is this guy doing this? Like, Landry Shamet's going to have another night where he hits 3 threes. I actually really kind of like this matchup for New York. I'm not saying, I can't sit here and say that they're going to win, but I like their chances better than whatever the market is going to give them. This is not a bad matchup for New York, which makes it really kind of an interesting thing if the Knicks are able to get out of the Eastern Conference. They match up okay with OKC.
Yeah, Matt, to your point, both teams, OKC and New York, they've gotten up for big games like this season, right? And specifically the Knicks. I don't think we're surprised by that with the Thunder because they get up for all their games. They're just a very good basketball team. The Knicks, I want to see if they can match up physically and with that physicality that we saw OKC and Denver play with last Friday night, right? If OKC is going to play with that level of intensity in Madison Square Garden tonight, I want to see the Knicks step that up and bring that level of physicality to this game.
Do you feel like the Knicks are lacking that category? Because I feel like that's one of their strengths. I think that's one of the reasons why they've been a pretty good matchup versus the Cavs consistently, is their ability to play physical. I don't really worry about the Knicks' physicality. I worry about their discipline, which is different.
Yeah, and I think there's some interesting matchups here too, right? Like you probably start Chet with Hartenstein coming off the bench if you're OKC, depending on obviously who's ultimately available for them. You have Chet start on Karl-Anthony Towns, and then he could switch on to Brunson. And then on the other end, we're going to see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander target Jalen Brunson quite a bit, and that's where that physicality might come into play on the perimeter. Do you try to hide Jalen Brunson in other spots? Like what does Mike Brown draw up, and how much do they ultimately want to show, right? I think for the Knicks, this is an important game where I think you don't throw the kitchen sink necessarily, but you don't necessarily hide stuff either. I think you go out and try to win this game because I think there's a lot at stake.
I think you throw the kitchen sink. Like,
yeah, okay.
You can't be like, we're going to save stuff for the finals. You get there, and it's like, all right, figure it out from here. Knicks 23-8 at home this season, so they've been absolutely dynamite in MSG. It should be a good one.
Last one here I want to talk about. Hornets at Celtics. Our Charlotte Hornets versus their Boston Celtics. Celtics 6.5 point favorites at home. Hornets on the second night of back-to-back after blowing out the Mavericks last night. But this should still be a really interesting game between two of the hottest teams in the Eastern Conference, as we talked about. This is the first. They have not played yet. This is the first of 3 meetings that they're going to have over the next month and a half. Haize, what are you most interested in watching in this one?
If you can, I have no interest in this game tonight. I don't have zero interest in it. None. Maybe I'm jaded because my team sucks butt right now, and so maybe that's jaded me a little bit on basketball.
The Bulls play
overall,
tonight.
But
do the Bulls play tonight? Is that why?
No, the Bulls don't play today. Thank God they don't play today. I need as many days off as I can possibly get from the Chicago Bulls.
You should be interested in watching some good basketball because both of these teams are playing good. Matt,
they're playing great. They are very much playing great. You know what it is? I'm jealous that it's not my team. That's what it is.
Hey, we're like 2 weeks. We're like 2 weeks from that March stretch where everything gets disgusting. We have to enjoy this now because
it's starting now.
It's starting, but we're not quite there yet. 2 weeks is where it's going to be like, oh God, these games are so bad.
Yeah.
So like we got to get it in now while it's good here. Interesting stat for you, Wes. The Charlotte Hornets this season are 8-4 straight up on the second night of a back-to-back. They have been absolute dynamite in these bad rest spots. Another, like, there's a lot of good candidates for Coach of the Year. I think it's Jordan Ott because we all were like, the Suns, and now they're back in the playoffs. But I think Charles Lee's probably going to be higher on this list than we've talked about, even though I think Missoula at this point is going to win. But 8-4 is a really good mark. This is really interesting because Charles Lee is a former assistant from Boston. So you've got kind of all these really good matchups, and you've got Kalkbrenner and Moussa Diabate, who are really different kind of options for them defensively, the same way for and offensively, the same way that for Boston, Vucevic and Keita are very different in what they bring to the table. You're going to have a lot, I think Miles Bridges is going to have a really big game, as much as he should not be in the NBA. Like, he's going to have a big game here because the power forward spot is one of the weak positions here for Boston. One thing people are really interested in, what does Jaylen Brown look like in what is probably the last game before Jason Tatum returns?
Great point. What is he trying to prove? He could empty the clip in this one tonight. To your point, right? Like the Charles Lee thing coming from the Boston Celtics staff, the Hornets are very much like baby brother Boston Celtics, right? Like, both of these teams are built in a very similar way. They get up a ton of threes. They both crash the boards. Charlotte's weakness, which is a Boston strength, Charlotte turns the ball over a lot. Boston does not. So that could be a swing factor in this game. I'm kind of looking for which team ends up scoring more in the paint because we know what they can do from three-point range. Both of these teams are near the bottom in paint points per game. If one of them can get a clear edge there, maybe that's something that can swing this game in one of the other's favor. But yeah, can the Hornets beat Big Brother? That to me is
that a measuring stick? So this is a measuring stick game for Charlotte. Is that what we're saying? In a lot of ways.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, I mean, I can get with that. I mean, Charlotte Hornets have been playing really solid basketball. I'm always excited to see Kempo play basketball as well. I just think that this game is going to go the way that we all expect it to go. I think that they're going to make some mistakes down the Hornets are going to make some mistakes down the stretch of the game that the Missoula and the Celtics is going to take advantage of, and they're going to end up coming away with the win.
Are you less impressed with Charlotte than maybe we've talked about?
No, I'm impressed with them per what my preseason expectations were for them. I didn't expect them to even be sniffing the playoffs in a chance. Then they have some really impressive players down there, and I love the way that they play together. It's just, I just think that this is going to end in the way that it should. They're still ahead of schedule, but like I said when we were talking about them earlier, if they can just make it a really competitive first round series, that's a big, huge leap for them. But as we know with the Hornets, they've done it before. They've gotten to the playoffs before. That next step is usually where it starts falling apart for them.
Is some of this that you feel like they've just caught teams, like nobody's taking them seriously because they've been so under the radar and everyone kind of had the book on them as not being serious. And then when teams start taking them serious, it's going to be a little bit different.
I think that, yeah, that's especially at the start of the season. I do think teams are starting to realize, like, no, you can't sleep on the Charlotte Hornets team. You have to play full 4 quarters against them. And, this season is going to be what this season is. There's not enough time left. But I think next season, when that adjustment happens, that's where we're going to see the Charlotte Hornets exposed potentially a little bit.
I'm going to make a prediction for Hornets Celtics. I think Jaylen Brown tries to hit the game winner I think it's a close game. Jaylen Brown goes for the game winner at the end, misses, and then Brandon Miller hits the go-ahead game winner at the other end, and Charlotte comes away with the road win.
This has been Miami Heat Fanfic, brought to you by Locked On NBA Daily.
If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA Daily wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Thank you to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network your first listen. We'll see you right here tomorrow on Locked On NBA Daily.
Okay.